All righty, folks, we've done a lot of talking about recent and current events. We've talked about mortgage rates, pending home sales, things of that nature. But I think it's time we step back and we ask the bigger question. What's the plan? What's the vision that you are doing with real estate? And we're going to have this conversation with Matt, the mortgage guy. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. So this is an interesting conversation because, when people reach out to you, it's often about, a property they're looking at. They may even be pending. They're certainly looking at potentially writing some offers. So you're very much in the transaction mindset. But I'm going to ask you to step back a little bit and kind of talk about the bigger picture, because I don't know that a lot of new investors, or frankly, even experienced investors, really ask the bigger questions like what's my vision for my life? What am I looking to do? Because I think that kind of just leads us down different roads sometimes.
Yeah, honestly, I think it would really benefit anybody, especially ORAT community looking to build wealth, looking to do a lot of the stuff that we're all aligned on, which is investing in real estate for freedom and wealth, etc. Ask yourself two questions: what is my plan, and what is the goal of that plan? And then start to have conversations around that. Ask those questions, in the school community. Shout out to the ORAT school community. There's a lot of smart people in there that have probably been where you want to go, and you can ask those questions. But all too often, this is what I see. This is why I love this conversation. To your point, some people call and they've identified a property and they're active, but a lot of times they know they want to get started, but they really have no idea and no plan at all. And really, real estate is just like any other business. The best run and most successful businesses have a clear plan, a clear vision. They can say, this is our 5-year plan. And to get there, here's what I want to do in the next quarter. Here's what I want to do in the next year. Here's what I want to do in the next 5. If that sounds overwhelming to people, don't worry, right? You can always change. You can always pivot. You can always move. But start with some sort of framework. And where I kind of feel limited in my ability to advise and help somebody is when they have no idea, right? When they come to me and they go, this is what I'm thinking, and this is what my plan is. They bounce some stuff off of me, and I like that part of your plan, my honest opinion is this other part of your plan. I tried that and that didn't work, right? Then we can mold that plan and improve it. But without any idea, you're pissing in the wind. In some cases.
Yeah, I think Dion, of all my investors, all my friends, got this the most right. And he has always said, and frankly, he's now living the life because he did it, is he wanted the least number of units that provided the most cash flow so he can live his life. And, the guy spending 3 months in Thailand is a perfect example that it's clearly working. And, talking to Anna Kelly, for 5+ years now, something we've often talked about, usually once a year, is trying to live life by design. And I think that's, as embarrassing it is to say, I never really did that until the last couple of years. I was just always more. I couldn't tell you why. It was just more was better, right? Why more? Because that's what I just keep doing. I never looked up, and I certainly never looked back. And I think you're absolutely right. I think more and more investors, if they I always call it getting quiet, right? Just slowing down, getting quiet, maybe with your significant other, and going like, what do we want in life? Because most of you, let's just be real, most of you don't need Pace Morby's wealth. The guy's got to be worth 9 figures, probably approaching 10 figures. But he works his ass off. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'll just say it for me. I don't want to work 1/8 as hard as Pace Morby does, let alone 1/2. And because of that, I'll never be anywhere close to him. He's going to dwarf me forever, and that's okay, right? As long as I'm comfortable with my choice, it's okay. And that's why I think Dion's got it right? The least number of units that provides the most cash flow that he can live the life he wants.
Yeah.
And I think more people need to figure that out.
I thought of something as you were talking because as much as this may be a problem for newer investors and getting started and developing a plan, it's probably equally a problem in a different way to established investors.
For
Because
sure.
what you said, what screamed out to me and what I heard was I was doing more of what I was really good at and really successful at. I didn't know why, but I kept doing it. I don't know. Have you heard Tony Robbins and Alex Hormozy's latest conversation?
I have not yet. No,
Oh
not
my
yet.
gosh, it's so good. Alex
Okay.
Hormozy said I was going to do some sort of interview style. I just had questions I wanted to ask him personally, so I was selfish. And here's it published: a coaching session between Alex Hormozy and Tony Robbins, where Hormozy has done phenomenal stuff,
Yeah.
but just because he was good at it and he just kept growing bit and with no real like this makes me happy or this is optimal for me in my life. It was just like I'm really good at it. I'm going to do more. I'm going to sell a bazillion books and whatnot. So like that's what came to mind when you talked about that. Is there's probably other Zubers out there that have made it or have a portfolio that can sustain them, and they've essentially won. But I think it was a cool little thought exercise that you did where you said, maybe the perfect portfolio is liquidate and do
Yeah.
25 new build rentals that are free and clear, and then that part of of life is completely autopilot and stress free, and all I'm worrying about is where are Olivia and I going to go next, and
Right.
do I want to eat fine dining 4 nights this week or 3?
Oh, exactly. It's funny. I get asked all the time, and I actually wrote one of my posts this year was about what's my ideal portfolio, because I get asked that at least monthly, and the answer hasn't changed for the last couple of years, and it's 20 single family homes that are less than 5 years old. Why? Because in my experience, single family homes are easier to manage. They have lower turnover. Why do I want newer? Just less maintenance. I get years to bank reserves for repairs and all of that. It's really that simple. And oh, by the way, I also probably get a slight rent premium being new construction. So again, and the other thing I point out is I own none of that today, right? I own none of that, but it's still my ideal portfolio. And the point you brought up is excellent, because again, there's a very good chance over the next decade we play with the chips that are on the table, which again are older homes. Some of my homes are 100 years old, right? More than 100 years old. And there's a very good chance that in the next decade, we end up with a portfolio of, 15 to 25 relatively new single family homes. Because again, we're interested in mailbox money at this point. We don't want to hustle and value add and turn C's into B's and go through multiple turns of tenants, because the thing about buying an apartment building that people don't know, let's just say you're Grant Cardone and you buy a 100-unit apartment building and rents are $250 below market. Grant would tell you you're sitting on $5 to $7 million in value just by raising the rents to market. What he doesn't tell you is it's going to take 2 or maybe 3 years to raise the rents. Because what will happen when you're that far under market is you will raise the rents, most people will leave, and then you'll just be constantly remodeling units. And here's the deal. You can't go right from where you are to market. That's a fallacy. You're going to probably go up $100 and then you'll have to go up again, because you don't go from C-class tenants to A-class tenants in one leap. It just doesn't work that way. So again, single family homes, newer, we might end up there in a decade. You never know.
Yeah, and just thinking about that personally, I can see at a certain point, people want what's easier. If you're a brand new investor and you're like, I'm going to buy this fourplex and it's beat down and crummy and the tenants aren't that great, but like that's going to get me better returns than a single family, and that's what I
For
really
sure.
want right now.
Yeah.
You've got the time, effort, and energy. Go
Yeah.
ahead and do that. But as you get older, it's like, do I need 14% return, or am I happy with 11? Knowing that
Exactly.
11 is mailbox money, a single family
Stress-free.
tenant that's
Yeah.
going to stay for 8 years. Because it's definitely different. And just, my small real world example as an investor myself is, those single family homes. And the ones I own are mostly built in 1980 or newer, so they're not
Okay. Yeah, they're 40 years
100
old.
years old, but but those tenants stay a long time. They take good care of the house, easy to manage. And then if you're a single tenant in a 4-unit apartment, not only does, those rent changes go slowly over time, but those people are the most squeezed. So if they're renting for 1025 and rent soften at all, and they get something down the street for 950, they might just well move.
They're
You've got to
gone.
turn, you've got to find a new tenant.
Yep.
Somebody's living in a single family. They're established. They got all their stuff unpacked. They're good. The difference between 2,600 and 2,700 isn't a big deal to them. They're there. So it makes a lot of sense. And I think, as much as people want to crunch numbers and ask me like, what's the rate on this versus the rate on that? And like, they will do all that. Take 1 or 2 steps back, take a 30,000 square foot view and say, what's the goal of all of this? And if that's the goal, what's my strategy be? What's my game plan going to be? Because that's another conversation I have quite often, Mike, is somebody who wants to buy 8 to 10 properties that each produce $300 a month, and they can, use the FIRE method to live cheap and, transition out. Like, that's a far different strategy and client than somebody that says, I make $380,000 a year in my W-2. I'm going to buy properties that give me a tax benefit. They slowly appreciate over time. And by owning them for 20 or 30 years, that as part of my portfolio is going to add an extra $1 or $1.5 million to my retirement plan. That's far different ends of the spectrum.
No, I think people would benefit from just having an honest discussion of what they're looking at. Because just in those 2 examples, those are 2 excellent examples, and I hear them all the time, right? Basically, one of them is how quickly can I replace my income and live off this? That's the FIRE example. And the other was just me. I'm trying to get to 4 properties, so I have a better retirement than most. And that was, that's what I was aiming for. That's why we wanted to get to 4. So
right.
I think people,
that's something that people should remember too. Your plan can always change. Zuber was aiming for 4. He went a little bit farther than that, right? The plan
just a little.
And I always tell people too, you might be in wealth building mode and you buy 6 properties that are worth, collectively $4 million. You own them, you slowly raise the rents, you pay them off, and they're not making you rich. They're just working alongside you, working in a W-2 job. But then you look up in 20 years and you own properties that have $3 million in equity. You might sell 1031, buy a commercial building with a triple net lease that Starbucks rents.
Yeah,
and now
maybe
$20,000 a month, $30,000 a month, and you're done, right? So the plan can change, and I've seen it. Like, that's the cool part, Mike, about doing this for 12-ish years now. I've seen people. It was single family, it was duplex, it was small apartment, it was 1031, it was hotel, and they didn't start out and say, I'm going to own a Best Western, but they started out and said, I'm going to get started investing in real estate. I'm going to grow. And then the plan can change, but have the plan to start at least the next 3 to 5 years of what you want that to look like. That's my overarching advice. If you want to talk to me about it, I love these conversations with people. I especially love it. If you go to mtmg.com, connect with me and my team. I especially love it if you have some sort of idea about what you want to do. And so that's my ask, is don't call and say, I want to get rich. What's your advice? Call and say, here's the location I'm in. Here's what I see people doing successfully where I'm at. Here's what I'd like to own. Here's what matches with, my goals and my lifestyle and what I want to, do with my family and my current business. That's a fun conversation. I'm honored to be a part of that. So feel free to connect with us. Go to mtmg.com.
Yeah. One thing that I would tell you, if you are part of my school community, something we added when we got to 500 subs is your Get Your Money Right course. And one of the exercises in that course, which is free in there, is to basically design your future life. One is a minimum, like what's the bare minimum you need? What's kind of the middle of the road? And then one's a baller. And again, just that exercise, and I recommend doing it as a family or with your significant other so everybody feels included. But it's a really eye-opening exercise. because I think a lot of folks, certainly if you've been in the game for a decade, you're a lot closer to that minimum than you probably are aware. And oh, by the way, it's fun to ball out and look what's possible. So
yeah, balling
again,
out's more expensive than it was 5 years ago. So that number's changed for me.
There you go.
Inflation.
Yeah, inflation's bad. Matt, you're amazing, man. Again, go to mtmg.com. Get it started. Thanks, bud.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.